Hey guys, it's Shannon. Happy 2019. So don't mind my Blankenbarren coffee bar behind me. As you all know, I just took down all of my Christmas and now it's time to decorate for winter. So make sure to subscribe if you aren't already because I will have an updated coffee bar tour coming up for you. So not only am I updating the coffee bar, but I also wanted to update the entryway that is right next to the coffee bar, and I wanted a really cute farmhouse style wood sign to go there. So if you didn't already know, I have so many tutorials on wood signs already, and I will link that playlist down in the description box below. And in most of those tutorials, if I'm creating a wood sign, you'll see me cutting straight corners. And the reason is it's just simpler, it's easier, and it's honestly easier to explain. And so many people ask, why don't I miter my corners? Because it's a very pretty way to do it. So today I'm actually going to share with you how to do that, how to miter your corners to create a really pretty winter farmhouse style wood sign. So let's get started. To get started, I am cutting a scrap piece of wood down to 9 inches square. You could also cut a 1x10 square and get about the same size as I am here. And I'm using pine, which is also known as common board if you're headed to the store. Next, it's time to set up our miter saw to 45 degrees at an angle. You can also use a miter box for this and a hand saw to create miters as well. Now I'm just taking a second to remeasure my first side. Even though I cut it to 9 inches square, sometimes it's off just a little bit, so you want to make sure you compensate for that. And then we're just going to make our first cut on our 1x2 here. So I have my 1x2 here set up on the end rather than the side, which is wider, and I'm just cutting off the end here to create the first miter cut. Now you want to flip your 1x2 over 180 degrees so it's set up on the opposite end. Now I know it's a little bit hard to see over my shoulder here where I am measuring, but I'm actually putting my tape measure at the shorter side of the tapered mitered cut that we just made and measuring over 9 inches, and that's my cut line for my next mitered cut, and that will create the first side. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing and flip my board over 180 degrees. Measure over from that shorter tapered line 9 inches and make another cut, and this is going to be the left and right pieces for our framed miter cut wood sign. And you can see here how those smaller tapered sides of the miter line up with the edges of the wood sign in the center. And now just for accuracy, I am measuring the top and bottom here for my next two sides. So you definitely want to be measuring before you cut. And here you can see a more close-up look of how the miters cut. So you want to make sure that you are flipping your board 180 degrees before your next cut. That way your tapers are all going the same direction inwards to create those corners. And here's a look at the fit for the top and bottom pieces. And from here you can kind of adjust your boards if you need to take a little off. If the blade on your machine cut it a little bit too wide, you can kind of shave a little off here and there to get that perfect fit. And then you want to give all of your wood pieces a good sanding. I'm using a orbital sander here with 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm making sure to get the tops and bottoms as well as all of the sides and the ends of all of the wood pieces. Alright, so I've brought my pieces upstairs now and they are just sitting here. So I have them put together, and what I did is I sort of marked what I wanted the top, and this is the left side. So my piece is not perfectly square and I had to sort of cut a little off here and there to make these fit just right. So I wanted to make sure I didn't lose sight of what went where. So whenever I go to paint these, I'm just gonna lay these down like this so I know what's the top and the bottom and the left and the right. And then I have 2 colors of chalk paint here. This is Waverly brand that you can get at Walmart. If you follow my channel, you know this is my favorite and I use it all the time. So I just have white and then this gray color in the color Elephant and a foam paintbrush for each. So these sides here are gonna get 2 coats of gray, and just the top of the middle piece is going to get 2 coats of the white. So a good tip I have to share with you here is that I like to flip bowls upside down to use to prop my wood pieces up with, and that way they don't sit on the counter or sit on the paper and then they get stuck from the paint drying. So it's just a nice little tip, and it keeps your wood nice with a nice finish after it's dried. Once the pieces had dried, I flipped them over and then gave them a second coat, except for the center piece I didn't have to flip that one over. You don't need to finish the back or the sides of the middle unless you want to, but it won't be seen, so it's not necessary. Alright, so the lettering on this sign, I'm using a vinyl decal. I use Oracle number 651 for this, and I use a Silhouette Cameo to cut out my vinyl. If you don't have a vinyl cutter, I do have these decals in my Etsy shop, which is crossingmyheart.com. And I have a lot of people asking for the SVG files, and I will eventually have this up in my Etsy shop as a file. But just keep checking back, probably not right away. That's one of my goals this year, is to get all of my designs into SVG files for you guys, because I've had a lot of requests for those, and those you can use in a Silhouette or in a Cricut program. So what I'm doing here is I'm just weeding out all of the excess vinyl. And now I'm going to use transfer tape. I use Duck brand clear contact paper. It's sort of like a laminate or a drawer liner, and it's really inexpensive. This is what I've always used. I keep going back to it. It's from Walmart and it's just readily available, so this is what I use the majority of the time. So all I do is, it is a little bit too tacky to just put straight on there, so I like to get some of the tackiness off. So I just kind of run it on my counter a couple times before I lay this on top. Now, if you order this from my Etsy shop, it will come like this already, so you don't have to do any of this part. But if you have a vinyl machine, of course you'll have to do this. And I'm just taking my squeegee and transferring it to this transfer tape. And what the transfer tape does is it just peels off, and it peels that vinyl up with it so that we can pull it off and transfer it onto our wood sign. So we don't need this paper anymore. And all you have to do is just center it on your sign where you want it. So you can eyeball it, or you can get a ruler out and make sure it's completely centered. Mine's pretty good, so I'm gonna go ahead and just take my squeegee again, and you just press your vinyl down onto the wood, and that's making your vinyl stick on there. Now this part you have to be really careful with. You need to take your time and just slowly peel back your transfer tape. Sometimes you'll have things that are gonna lift up and off onto this transfer tape. You just take your squeegee or popsicle stick or credit card and kind of hold it down as you pull the transfer tape away, like this right here. So I'm just gonna push this back on and re-peel it off. And you just slowly remove your transfer tape from the sign. And then you're left with your design. So here's a look at the design on the center wood sign, and now we're going to go ahead and add the frame pieces. I'm going to use my brad nailer and some 1 1/4 inch brad nails for this. If you don't have a brad nailer, of course you could use hammer and nails to secure this around the edges, or you could do some wood glue and add some clamps to make sure it bonds really well, and then we'll have our finished wood sign. Once the sign was all put together, all I did was add a sawtooth picture hanger to the back to make it really easy for hanging. Then I just added a small command hook to my hook board here, which is above my bench, and added my wood sign, and it hangs just perfectly from there. And here is a look at my newly updated winter entryway. And the sign just added that perfect little special personalized touch to the space, just what it needed. Let me know down in the comments below if you live in an area of the country or the world even that receives snow during the winter time. I am here in the Midwest, so some winters we get lots of snow and some winters we just get flurries, but I still really enjoy decorating for winter. I hope this tutorial inspired you. Make sure to give it a thumbs up for me. There's also a share button underneath this video that you can click to share this with your friends and family and inspire them too. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I love to bring you guys new inspiration every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on my channel, The Daily DIYer. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.